have to define a training and development strategy and have for the potential new owners a communication strategy, and that is, again, this presentation covers all sizes of businesses, so the communication strategy mainly focuses, and we have a very large corporation. Very important legal and financial considerations. We're going to need to do some testing and obtain some feedback from employees or for potential buyers, and ongoing monitoring and updates, and some exit strategies considerations that we're going to talk about. So let's dive into what are the roles. So identifying the roles and the skills, I mentioned it before, is the leadership assessment and skills inventory. We have to clearly identify critical roles essential to business operations, such as the owner, executives, and department heads, and evaluate the skills necessary for each role, possible through skill metrics to ensure future leaders are well prepared for success. So how many of you, just like a kind of head count, if any of you can give me an idea so I can tailor this for you guys. I just want to have an idea of average, how many employees do you guys have, if any? Can you guys put in the chat, and Gail, can you please tell me?
You're pointing somewhere.
It's down there.
What shall I do?
If you just want to go one by one, we can just go through like Angie.
Yeah, in fact, actually, this will be a good point. Then, if all of you can just take a couple minutes and tell me a little bit about, I would like to know your business. What kind of business do you have, and how many employees do you have, if any? And if the employees are family or you have other hires, just very quickly.
I'll go first.
Sure.
What's the number?
Similar to you, I have a catering business, more specifically baking and custom wedding cakes. So, the skill is 14 plus 25 years of decorating, cake decorating. And most of the time I'm by myself. In the busy season in the summer, I have 1 to 2 part-time employees.
Thank you.
Want to go, Robert?
Yeah, Angie, do you want to go?
Well, Robert, my husband's here as well. He's going to speak.
Yeah, hi, Robert Austin here. It's just Angie and I right now, so there's 2 employees. We're both on payroll. We basically design small personal electronic devices and have partnered with a small factory in Hong Kong and China to manufacture these for us. We then distribute them here in the US and around the world. And so basically it's a kind of a mail order business for which we own the intellectual property.
So you own the patent, or do you own the patent?
We own designs. No, patents. I have a patent that's expired, but patents are of no value unless you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars available to defend a patent in court. So we have trade secrets.
Okay.
Natalie, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I have Just Heavenly Fudge business, and I'm similar to Felicity, and I've had my company for 20 years. We had a shop that we closed down, and right now my business consists of my website and selling locally and at fairs and farmers market. And I'm, looking to sell the business in the next couple months. So I guess basically I'm the main person, the fudge maker. Again, it's like the skill sets, but I also was interested in finding out like what the value of having a website and mailing lists and things like that, like for your what the goodwill, is what the goodwill of a business is.
Okay.
And
Do I have anybody else? I have 3 so far.
Yeah, Shannon, do you want to go next? If you just have to unmute. There you go.
Hi, my husband and I own San Juan Surveying. It's a land surveying firm, and we have 8 employees. We will most likely sell our business to employees. So we're just at the beginning stages and it'll be probably over 5 years.
Okay. So that will be an
And-
employee transition. Okay.
Great. And then we have Stephanie, who is here helping a client who wants to sell her business next year. She's service-based with about 5 employees, and she can't say anything more due to client confidentiality.
I understand. Is she with an agency or with an attorney or an accountant office? I just want to have an idea.
Accounting
Or-
office.
Okay, perfect. So, thank you for your trust and thank you for sharing your information with me. I appreciate it. And so know that on my end, I mean, my job is 100% confidential, so I don't go anywhere with any of these. So, as you're speaking, so you can start identifying, these two very specific areas of starting the process. So you have your skills, your skills for some of you is your knowledge on baking or decorating cakes. It is the farming. It is the knowing the equipment that you have, it's having trade secrets or trademarks. So this is a very important part to start identifying the roles that you guys play in your organization, in your business, as well as the skills that you have. Because basically, at the end of the day, what is going to be sold or transferred or negotiated are those skills. And we got to be really aware with ourselves. It doesn't matter what we tell the world, but with ourselves as to really clearly identify, can I sell? What am I going to sell what am I going to sell? Like I said, I cannot sell my cooking skills. I can sell my equipment, and the person that purchased the name, it has to really have knowledge of the specific cooking that I do. But anyway, I think you get the idea. So I'm going to move on.
Yeah, makes sense.
So what is developing a success? How does developing a plan looks like? So it's actually a formalized succession plan with clear timelines, short-term, and designate successors for each role, create a backup plan. So basically what it is in a very simple terms, I try to make business very simple, is just create a timeline. What are you looking at? Are you looking at, somebody said 5 years? Are you looking at 1 year? Are you looking at 2 months? So what is really looking like? And then start putting the steps. Then we need to step by step. Again, I said at the very beginning, it's very important, and this is a very detailed plan. And the reason why I insist on that is because at the end of the day, when there's a negotiation, anything that we actually are aware of is going to become part of negotiation or part of the contract. If we do not do the homework at the beginning, where we're negotiating a legal contract for a purchase and sales agreement that includes assets, that includes intellectual property, that includes trademarks, that include recipes, which can be considered it's not a patent per se, but some recipes can be protected, or they are part of your assets if there's some very specific cakes that are made or some specific recipes. So all of that actually has value. The customer list usually overlook. So in this one, I cannot stress enough the importance actually really seeing, what do I have? How do I want to accomplish this? What do I need in each step? And then if this doesn't work, having 1 or 2 contingency plans. So what if it doesn't sell? What if the buyer backs up? So this is where we are in this part. Training and development. I will say this one applies more for very technical. Well, yes and no. So this one is basically, in this plan, or one part of the consideration of the plan, are we considering perhaps training the new owners? I mean, for example, in the employee ownership program, is a very it's a very complicated process, but it has a lot of training and mentoring. So in each one of your different businesses, would you consider staying and training the staff to bake the cakes, or is that something that you will consider? Is is there gonna need investment on some, if you lose your key staff, you're selling your business and you have 2 employees, but they will not stay after the sale, then that asset is gonna be gone and your company the value of your company may be reduced. So are you guys willing to invest on training staff for the transition? So all of those, this is what in this part is not necessarily just training to the new owner, but training internally to the people who stay and training for people who may not stay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any questions?
No,
Okay. Communication strategy. It is incredibly important that there is, again, especially if you have employees, then there is internal transparency and a stakeholder assurance. This might not apply for some of you, but for employees, they do need to know that there is gonna at some point that needs to be disclosed, and then we're thinking about an exit strategy. It is very important that they know that the part of the sale of the business of the transition of the business includes them. So having that open communication, having that transparency, it will actually reduce the stress, but also would reduce the chances of having issues at the last minute. So if we don't tell our employees, oh, by the way, we're selling our business until the sale is completed, that I promise you is not going to go well for the new owner. So that's very important. There's internal transparency depending on the size that you are. Of course, in an employee ownership transition, it is way more important just because how the structure works. Documentations and agreements, business valuation. Please, please, please don't do the sale by yourself. I mean, invest a little bit of time. I don't want this to sound harsh, but have a lot of respect for your business to invest a little bit of time in having an attorney and an accountant review your documents for many reasons. One is many times in my 30 years of experience doing business consulting, I have seen businesses that the sale is very successful, everything works well, but there's not a solid contract. And the new owner actually, I'm going to tell you, full disclosure, that happened to me in one of my early businesses 20 years ago. It was a very successful business. The new owner did not know what she was doing. She went bankrupt within 6 months. Nothing had to do with me, but I can assure you, attorneys and lawsuits start flying all over the place. And if I would have not have some clauses in the contract, and if I would have not have the accounting documents that are required for the transaction, full disclosures of everything, and this transaction included over 25 people in the staff, and it was a very regulated business, blah, blah, blah. So I can assure you, you can sell your business, but that's not the end of it, unless there is a good contract. And there is a good, sometimes, I mean, I don't want to give you headaches, but I want to help you to think about it. One of the things is, what if you decide to carry the note? And again, that happened to me, and they don't pay you, right? Then what? What is the recourse? What if, you already gave all your assets and I'm giving you all the worst scenarios because this actually happened to me. What if you sell all your assets, they're not paying you, and you walk into the building one day and all the assets are gone overnight? What if, so we can just kind of go, what if, and all these things. So sometimes businesses use some online, services to create documents, and that's great as a draft to kind of save a little bit of money, but I will never suggest or recommend to execute a document without having an attorney just at least 1 or 2 hours of their time, making sure that we're in compliance with all the laws, and then we cover ourselves. And most important, there's no liability for you after the fact. Valuation and insurance, extremely important in my end, valuation. We usually, the small businesses, we think that our business is worth X amount of money. Well, sometimes it's less and sometimes it's more. Valuation doesn't have to be expensive. Sometimes there are offices like the Small Business Development Center that can do themselves. They're not certified valuators, but they can actually do a small valuation. I used to work for them, and I mean, I was completely capable of doing a small valuation. And again, run it by your accountant or by an accountant. And remember that this is probably the most emotional part of a business to value to set a price, because we build it, we cry, we invest it, we work it, but that doesn't mean that is what the business is worth. And that's a black and white. Their numbers are numbers, and they're going to come from bookkeeping, and they're going to come from, the other thing is, if the books, many businesses think that your business is worth a lot, and it is, but the books are not up to date, and the books, it hasn't been kept properly, and the business owner put a lot of their personal expenses that, are reducing the value of the business unnecessarily because how the accounting was done. So those things can be fixed. It's just, we just need to consider that. And again, having insurance prior and after, something that is not a common practice, I do recommend it, is to kind of have some kind of policy that covers you for a year after the transaction, for omissions, if it's actually a business owner, depending on the kind of business. But errors and omissions, insurances are helpful, I think, to protect us in some kind of selling transaction. Questions, comments so far?
So-
No? Okay.
What kind of insurance policy is it? I can't see all the document, the words are cut off, so I'm not seeing the whole thing. But what kind of insurance would you, oh, there, I can see it now. What kind of insurance would you be? Well,
That will be errors and omission, and that, it's called errors and omission. And sometimes, I mean, that will be for an insurance agent to say, you really, really don't need it, because there's, but so that will be basically a question to the attorney. Is this a sale? Then you would recommend to have errors and omission insurance. I will stay with an attorney first, but the term of that insurance is called errors and omission. And what that means is, if your books, there's an error in the books, if there is omission in the books or something, and then they come back and say, well, you told me that you have 100 customers, and I'm just using a silly example in your customer list, but in reality, you only have 10 that actually are active. The other ones are 50 years ago and they don't exist anymore. That could be considered errors, omission, and misinterpretation of the business for the valuation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So basically, as long as you have all your information, you've researched your valuation, then it's not necessary.
Not
Unless
necessarily
you
for
think
all the
you're
businesses. Mhm.
okay.
Right. But I will run it by an attorney, just in the sale contract, the purchase sales, the final sales agreement. So this one is just more like having like an advisor, having, your professionals, your accountant, your bookkeeper, your friends and family, just kind of testing the transition process. Just walking people through, even your employees, kind of seeing the whole process, the whole scenario, and getting and answering what if questions, all the what if questions. What if? And I think this is a very valuable part of the process, because I think by asking people a lot of questions, we learn a lot, and then we can actually see how other people are seeing us. And sometimes it's just even engaging your very loyal customers. You have a very group of loyal customers that are buying your case constantly, and they are customers or or the fudge and they come often, or you have some commercial accounts, I don't know, convenience store. I think it will be very important to talk to them and say, we are considering this strategy. Would you give us your feedback? What would be something relevant for you to continue working with this new company? Or, in some cases, it's, my children are going to take over. What do they need to do to keep you happy? Or there's a lot of different scenarios, but your customers are really, really important part of this puzzle, because it's what is going to make the transaction successful. And if you're considering carrying the note, you really want to make sure that this transaction is successful and continues to be successful. Again, these ones, this part, it depends on the transaction, but have some reviews to adapt the plan. And this one actually depends, or if it's some people start designing an exit strategy 5 years in advance. Most big businesses that are a little bigger, I will say over 10 employees, then are considering extra strategy, or they have been businesses for business for 20 years or so. It takes a good 3 to 5 years in some cases to kind of properly plan a succession strategy that needs a little more complex. So it just, we have to constantly review the market and be flexible to modify and what do I mean by that? Technology is a very huge and key factor for succession strategies. And why is that? The technology is going so fast that sometimes things that our businesses do, and we need either a skilled employee or a certain machine, and we have invested in that machine. Within a year, that's going to be obsolete, right? So, or the skills, because the technology, especially if there's machinery involved, have changing so much, is it within 1 year to 2 years, it can completely change the game and the value of the business. So we just have to be aware of that. Where are we going with this? And sometimes that will say, no, we got to sell tomorrow, because within a year, we are not going to have that technology is gonna change. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what are different options? So I mentioned it in different, so what are some exit strategies considerations? So what are the options? So the options are selling, family succession, or employee stock ownership plan. Those are the three main options for having an exit strategy. So besides closing, we can sell, family can take over, or we go into the employee stock ownership plan. It is very important, and I mentioned it before, that we have a financial advisor that understands the complications and implications of each one of them. And if you take anything out of my presentation, just please copy this last sentence and put it something in your fridge. Work with financial advisors to understand the implications of each option and align it with your retirement or future plans. What is the goal? The financial goal of this sale? Is the financial goal of these sales to get X amount of money and be out? Is this something that the money from this sale is gonna finance your retirement? So this is a very important consideration, depending on the size of the business, the age of the business, everything, to be able to, and I will say this one, an accountant and a financial advisor has the say, or not the say, but the recommendation is like, what is the goal of getting out of this business? Just getting out of business and getting some money? Perfect. This is a goal. I want to set up this sale, then I can retire. Then how much do I need? I have this sale, then I can make some interest because I'm carrying the note. That's another. So this has to be very, very clear, but also for people that are using this exit strategy as a retirement plan or retirement option, it has to be very clear. So finally, as a conclusion, is prioritizing succession planning is vital for the longevity of your small business. This workshop is designed to equip you with tools, strategies, insight. Anyway, this is just blur, but so let's have a discussion and see how else I can help you with. Hope this give you very overview.
One question I have is, you talked about transparency with your employees and your customers about the upcoming sale. What about future customers? I take deposits on wedding cakes, a year out. So when do I tell next year's brides that I may be selling?
When the sale is almost at the final, I mean, well, let me think about through this one.
Mhm.
It depends. I will probably, in your specific case, I will probably wait until the sale is completed or almost completed, like, the final stages. And this is a very tricky one. I'm hesitating about how to answer this. And again, I'm just giving my personal opinion. I'm not giving any financial or legal advice, full disclosure. This is very tricky because the client is purchasing basically your reputation, right?
Mhm.
And that's why they're buying your cakes. The buyer is purchasing when you have a sales structure, then you have some deposits, that's an asset.
Yeah.
Then you're selling. You're selling your account receivables, right? In the transaction should be, and depending how the transaction is structured accounting wise, you have accounts receivables and accounts payables. So the accounts receivables, all the deposits are assets that should go to the new owner
Mhm.
in some shape or form, because you receive that money for the product that hasn't been sold. Therefore,
Right.
it's an asset, right?
Yes.
And it's part of the transaction. So but what if, what if the bride said, oh, forget it, give me my money back?
Yeah.
So that's part of the contract, then you are not liable for that money. Do you see how all this is a circle?
Yeah. I know. That's why I'm asking the question, because I don't know how to handle it, because you build a relationship with these people and then, the business, you don't know when the business is going to sell. What if it sells right before their wedding and suddenly you say, bye, I don't want to do that.
Well, but also you cannot start telling people and then don't sell the business and then buy
Yeah.
the sale for you. So I will be very, very, very cautious with that. I will probably say, I mean, you have the right to sell, and then anything can happen that can prevent you to make that cake. But I will just, and this is why, like, going back to all the pieces on my talk, sometimes having an insurance for errors and omission is helpful, because you can get sued and for you ruined their wedding day. And I'm not trying to scare any of you. I'm just trying to make you aware, so your sale is bulletproof and you have all the considerations. And specific your question, I will probably, if I was me, I will probably wait until the transaction is almost about to get paid. But I will make absolutely sure that the deposit is part of the asset. So if they cancel, that money is returned and it is something in the legal sale that says, and is the new owner responsibility to pay for any deposits that need to be returned as a result of the customers leaving or customers canceling their orders because of the sale. I would be very intentional with those languages.
Okay, thank you.
Again, I mean, I'm just talking out of experience. I'm not giving you legal or accounting advice.
I understand. Thank you.
Lorena, Stephanie's asking, she said, it's my understanding that business brokers usually start around 250,000 annual revenue minimum. Where would smaller business owners find someone to help broker the business? And what is your recommendation on evaluating technical investments prior to selling? For example, as you said, technology changes so fast. At what point is it worth investing to get a better business value?
Dale, remind me which company is this? I mean, is this the one that I cannot know anything about?
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm going blind on this one. There's a big question. There's like a lot of pieces of this question. So
Mhm.
thank you for your questions, Stephanie, right?
Mhm.
Um, can I just ask, I don't need to know, is this company then, is this a company over like what are we talking about sales over $500,000 a year or under $500,000 a year? And how many employees? That's all what I need to know, just to be able to kind of try to answer this question.
Stephanie, you can either write in the chat or just speak out, answer, whatever you prefer. If you don't mind. Let's see.
This is not the ESOP, right? No.
Yeah, it says under 0.5 million, 5 employees.
So we're talking millions. So these ones, it does require a formal valuation. Sometimes there's a lot of different companies, there's a lot of different strategies to do valuations. I cannot advertise, but I can tell you that I've been working through my job, through my work, through my office with a very serious, and I'm very impressed with some, they're not brokers, they are companies that do valuation. First of all, this transaction will require a valuation, and then the valuation may indicate if you need a broker or not. And also depending how specific, how technical this company is, in my experience, there is for any industry, yeah, they're brokers and they charge a lot of money, but there are also sites where you can sell with very specific industry specific sites where you can advertise your company without having to use a broker. Now, sometimes brokers are very expensive, but brokers also, some firms have brokers that come with accounting, legal, and valuation services. So it's just about the running numbers and figured out what is more time and cost effective to have. And I'm assuming a company of that size already have legal counsel and accounting counsel and all of that. So it's just do evaluation as of, what is more cost effective about the broker. Hope I'm answering your question. It's kind of difficult not knowing a lot to answer a question like this. And as of the technology is the same. I mean, the technology, unfortunately in technology, we cannot predict what is going to be launched tomorrow because we don't know what we don't know. But we do know that if the technology that this company is using is probably less than a year old and is not associated with some of the newest technology that can be affected by AI and a few other things, usually technology's life cycle is 5 years right now in most of the industries. And some we're going down to 3 years to 2 years. So again, if it's a machinery, like I just visited a plant that does recycling for garbage, that industry technology is not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay there as an ESOP. It's just going to make the process more efficient, but the company will not disappear. If it's a music company, a production music company, then they do everything by hand right now. AI can take over tomorrow morning. So those are some considerations of the business. I hope I help.
Anybody else have any other questions or?
Yes. So I'm just a small business. I've downsized my business and I have a young couple that's interested in purchasing. And I'm sort of like, where do I begin? And so where would I look for some help, like as far as valuation? And I was sort of working out like what my time and skills to pass on that mentoring to them. And yeah,
I
just basically where is there some place you're saying like getting a broker? Do I really need a broker? But I need some guidance or somebody that I can go
for for the small business like yours, I will always recommend to start with the Small Business Development Center or with SCORE.
okay, then
Uh,
where's the small, is that through the Chamber of Commerce, the Small Business Development Center?
no, it's a statewide program.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's actually it is certain. I mean, I'm advertising them. I used to work for them, and I love them because they have great services.
Yeah.
So it's just look for Google Washington Small Business Development Center
Mm-hmm.
or the SCORE. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pitch either one of them. So they're different. They both are free. The Small Business Development Center has has probably more resources, and again, you know, their services are 100% free. Um, and they're all over the state, so you can get an advisor in your area or from another area. So I would probably start there, and the reason why I'm doing that is because A, there are free resources. B, they're like all of them are extremely qualified. We go through an incredible difficult vetting process to be able to be certified advisors, and if there's advisors that do not then they don't have those specific skills, they're referred to another advisor, even if it's out of the region where you are. So I will start there and then get their opinion. And the reason why is because what they're probably going to do is to take a look at your books, learn about your business, and then guide you to see if it's feasible, they're trying to figure out the feasibility of the sale, the potential challenges and opportunities with the sale, the market. They will guide you and you don't have to invest money. And also at some point they will say, well, now it's time for you to get an accountant and an attorney. And these are the next steps, because as an advisor, and I'm going to put my ex-advisor hat, the only thing we can do is kind of give you an overview and a general advice, but we cannot, do any kind of legal or accounting work. Does that make sense? But I will start there. And a SCORE is very similar. A SCORE is different because all the advisors are called mentors, and they're all usually bankers, retired, and they don't charge, they don't get paid, they just do it for free. It's a little more challenging to kind of have consistency with some of them because they're just doing it for free. But the usually are extremely highly qualified and experienced people. If you get an hour or 2 hours with one of the advisors, is amazing. So either one.
So
Huh?
with the Small Business Development Center, is that a free, or do you pay?
No, they're free. Both of them
It's
are
free.
free. Mhm.
And so do they sort of match you up with an advisor and then they work you along with your process?
Yeah. And with the SBDC is long-term and the same advisor. And if you need a specific skills, they will use an advisor for, so you will have a main advisor that is assigned to you. And then you can request a specific skills when you meet your advisor. And then they're going to give you one head advisor. And then after that, if there is some specific skills and that advisor doesn't have, they will call for a consult for another advisor. For example, if you have, like, I don't know anything about websites, nor I want to know, but I'm very strong in finances and business and everything. So if I had a client and I was doing everything with them, but they needed a website, I will call a website guru because I don't want to know anything about that. And then she will come and consult on that. And then, but I was continue to be their advisor. Does that make sense?
And
Yes, and
yeah,
then
and
they have,
Lorena, oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Stephanie beat me to the punch. She put in Chris Reed's contact information. That is our local SCORE advisor here in San Juan Islands. And he's wonderful. I used him personally when I had my business. And I refer him to businesses all the time, and it is free. So if you do want to meet with Chris, anybody, if you want to contact him directly, you can do that, or you can just let me know and I can set up an appointment for you.
And what does
So
the score, what does SCORE do? What,
it's
it's-
free business advising. So.
oh, okay.
And he would be able to help you, or like Lorena said, if he can't help you, he will find someone who will be able to help you. So,
Okay. And is this information, do we have to write that down or is,
no, you can just contact me if you want me to set up an appointment for you. I'd be happy to do that for you.
okay.
Well,
Thanks,
we're
Lorena.
almost
That
at
was great
11.
advice.
We're almost at 11. So do we have any final questions? Anything else I can help you with? It has been a pleasure, by the way, to work with all of you today.
I wanted to ask, okay, so our business has been going for like 25 years. It was much bigger, now it's just my husband and I. But it's like just under $1 million a year business. I do know Chris, so I'll contact him. But is that, are there particular kinds of companies that do evaluations that are like niche of niche businesses? Like ours is really a niche business. We sell little electronic things for personal meditation. So it's a very particular kind of niche business. Would Chris be able to give us advice on that?
I don't know, Chris, and I don't know, I mean, the resources, but I will start there. And then, I mean, any advisor in any of those sources, and I suggest that they will have the tools to navigate where to go, especially that experience.
Okay, thank you.
And I can also send everybody the slide deck if you'd like. And
Please.
I can also send you the recording if you'd like. I started the recording a little late, so we probably missed just probably the introductions and stuff, but I'd be happy to send that to everybody as well.
Well, with that, I'm just going to thank all of you. And for the company that is thinking about doing an employee ownership transition, just, I mean, my information is here. Please reach out if I can help you in any way. And I'm just very grateful. Thank you, Gail, for having me and trusting me and inviting me again. I appreciate it a lot. I hope this was helpful.
It was very helpful. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and expertise. And we look forward to having you again.
Of course, anytime. I love working with you.
Thank you, Lorena. Thank you, Gail.
Thanks.
Good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Felicity.
you.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Gail.
Lorena. Oh, thanks,
Welcome.
Angie. Yeah, just everybody just reach out to me. I'd be happy to set up an appointment or get you more information. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks again.